Hi everyone. I wanted to make a little video for you guys to introduce you to the class. First, I want to introduce you to a couple of things on LoudCloud, especially in this first week. One is this is your main, sorry, I'm supposed to be sharing some stuff with you and I'm not doing that. Let me do that real quick. If I can figure out how to do that again. Okay, sorry about that. Here is the classroom that you guys see, okay? Right here you see some announcements. This is just a couple of the announcements that are actually posted. This little pane down here only shows 2. And unfortunately, you can't click on this thing here. So what you need to do is come up here to the top right of this page and click here. And you will see that I have lots and lots of announcements in here that you guys need to look at. And the very first announcement that you really need to look at, that's really important, is the one here called Important Class Documents. Start here. And in this document, I give, basically this is just some links to some other PDF files that I have here, or doc files. They're both kinds here. One of them is a thing to sign up for Remind, and I can message you various things from Remind, and you can message me questions. So you may want to do that. One very important document is this class guide that's right here. Actually, let me change the way I'm sharing this a little bit. Let me share my whole desktop with you. I think that would actually be better. Okay, so I think you're seeing the whole desktop now. One of the things that I share is this class guide right here. So let me just open that real quick, and then point out a couple of things there. So this is a document that I will refer you to often in the class. When you ask questions, I'll say, oh, go see the class guide. It opens up to a table of contents. So it's really easy to look along here and see things that are important. And some of the things that are very important here are really important is the late work and makeup policy. Sorry, that didn't highlight very well, but there's a late work and makeup policy right there. The procedure to actually update the grades is very important. Let's see how participation in substantive posts are considered. This is a very important thing. The opportunities that I have for you guys to earn substantive credit, you'll have to get used to this, and I'll point this out in the form in just a minute. The algorithm I use for computing participation, all the stuff is important. So all the stuff in this document is important, but I will point you to this document fairly often in the class if you ask questions that are answered in here. There's a little chart here showing what things are due and when, and which chapters are covered, and all this sort of stuff. So it's an important document to look at. And I'll show you in a minute when we go into the other part of this LoudCloud, there's actually a place where you're going to sign off on having read that document, and you'll get a substantive participation credit this week for that. Another really important thing here is the student registration handout. So let me open this real quick. This will tell you how to register for MyMathLab, and you want to go to this website, MyLab at Pearson, and you want to follow these instructions. They're easy to follow. There shouldn't be any problem. All I want to point out down here somewhere, it's been a while since I've actually done this, is where the course code is. Oh, right here, sorry. The course code is right here. Okay, it's a sort of small font, unfortunately, but that's where it is. It's the instructor's course ID for the class is right there. And in MyMathLab is where you'll be doing all your homework and stuff like that. And we'll look at that in just a second. I can't go through the registration process because, of course, I already have an account, and it does something different when I log in. Okay, so these are the important, this is sort of the important first post to look at, okay? But still, there's lots of other announcements, so you want to come here and look at all these others as well. Let me see if another sort of really important one, I suppose, is the Excel help forum. In here, there's some videos you really should start off by watching. The first couple of weeks will seem really hard because we do a lot of Excel and we jump into it pretty fast. But you know, I've given you resources for everything. So there's some videos here to get you started. This example for students file has essentially examples for every single thing that comes up in the class. So it's a very useful document for you to keep, download these 2 documents. The initial Excel help is a little bit of self-guided tutorial maybe. you can open it up and follow the instructions. Let me open up the example for the students file real quick, point out a couple of things there. And I give you lots and lots of other examples, by the way, as the course goes. One thing you'll notice in the course is that I tend to put things that are just numbers in Excel into green cells like this. And I'll point this out when we look at the call-in session help in a little bit. But you notice I click on this number and it's just a number up here. There's nothing strange there. So to type in that number, I just literally type in 194990 and hit enter, and then format it as $1 and stuff like that. Things that are in blue are actually formulas. So if you click on a blue cell, you see there's actually a formula there. And so you got to get used to using formulas, and that's what those videos are for. But what I'm really showing you right here, what I'm showing you right here is just how to use this help sheet. So like when you want to know how to enter a formula for the payment on a loan, right? It's essentially this little square right here. Right? There's the principal, APR. How, you're paying each month, so there's 12 periods per year, how many years you're going to pay it. And then here's the payment, right? And the payment formula is right there, okay? And we will give you that payment formula in a more mathematical expression, and so does your book. But in terms of how to do it in Excel, it's right there, okay? And so that's how you read formulas in this sheet. So every time you see a blue cell here, you click on it, and there's a formula sitting there, okay? So even though they just look like numbers, there's really formulas. And when you turn in your work, anything that's calculated in your sheets should be calculated by a formula in Excel. And so I'll do exactly the same thing. I'll look at your sheet, I'll see numbers, but I'll click on a number and I'll look at the formula you're using, and that's how I will grade your work. That's sort of the Excel version of showing your work, okay? Okay, let me go over to MyMathLab real quick. The course has sort of two parts. It's got a MyMathLab part and it's got a part that's Excel. And the MyMathLab part is where you do your main homework and where you do your reading and stuff like that. Okay, so once you get an account, you'll sign in, you'll do something like this. You will have just one course, and so it'll probably just take you right there. I've got lots and lots of courses. But you'll see something similar to this. And on the side over here is sort of the main menu. And really the thing you want to look at, there's two main parts here, is the assignments, and you click there. Sorry, I clicked twice. Okay. And you're going to start with module 1 homework, and that's the thing we'll be doing at the end of week 1, and then module 2 homework. And one thing to know about these homeworks is I actually, there's a due date, but I let you work on the homework after the due date with just a 5% penalty on the problems done late. So at any point in the class, you can always get a 95% on all your homework. You do need to send me a message, an email, or an individual form telling me to update grades. And you need to give me a list of grades that need to be updated. There's no way for me to know this. The two systems, MyMathLab and LoudCloud, don't talk to each other. So if you're working on something late in LoudCloud, in MyMathLab, I have no idea unless you tell me. Because I could come look through all this for everybody, but I don't have time to do that. Then this is also where you'll take the quizzes, okay? And the quizzes you can also take as often as you want. The late penalty there is going to be 5% per day, but I will remove that late penalty if all the homework that comes before a quiz is at 85% or above. All this is in the class guide, so that's a reason to read the class guide and understand it. There is a difference. With the homework, you can work on each problem as often as you want. Just go back to that problem. With the quiz, you kind of have to go back and redo the whole quiz, but you can do it as often as you want, and the quizzes aren't timed. So they shouldn't, all the sort of math anxiety stuff should not apply here. The other thing is the multimedia library. Suppose this, let's see, I think there may be another way of, well, okay, gradebook, obviously you want to be able to look at your gradebook here. There is a gradebook in MyMathLab and a gradebook in LoudCloud. Again, the systems don't talk to each other, so there's no automatic updating of grades. So there is a delay between when you do the work in MyMathLab and when it shows up in LoudCloud, but you always have access to your grades here. And you have to get used to LoudCloud saying that you have things that are late and overdue until after your due date, and I actually copy by hand the grades from LoudCloud from MyMathLab into LoudCloud. We don't do anything with the study plan. And don't do anything with the student success. Don't do anything with the tools for success. The guided worksheets you can look at. We occasionally use those. The multimedia library is the main other thing. And here, really just the multimedia textbook is something you can click, and videos. You may want to watch some of the videos. And you click the Find Now, and then you've got these long lists of things. And to access the book, you just click on one of these guys here, you know, say Functions, and the book pops up. And actually, once the book is open, you can go from section to section inside the book. So I think you can see this. Takes it a second. Maybe since I'm videotaping it, it even takes it a little bit longer. There you go. So you get that, and you can click around. And I think you can go to table of contents, and you can go anywhere you want here. So that's how you get to your text. And then certain parts of the text and problems have little videos associated to them here. For general videos on topics, you know, really a YouTube search is probably the best thing, and Khan Academy will come up very often. And there's a bunch of other good videos you can watch. I think that's the main thing. Oh, I guess the other thing is that there are these, when you open your course home, you see something like this. And let me see, student view. Okay, sorry, let me come to it like this. And you see there's some announcements here. So I post announcements both in LoudCloud and MyMathLab. And there's some overlap, but it's not all overlap. So you do want to come read these announcements. I give you various instructions on how to do things, announcements for topics. Let's see, right at the beginning of the class, I give you a bunch of information welcoming you to MyMathLab, including some of the stuff I just pointed out here. Okay. Okay, so let me go back here to LoudCloud. And let's go, say, to the planner, okay? There's various ways to navigate LoudCloud, and I'm assuming you kind of know your way around, even though it is a new LoudCloud for all of us still. And you can access your DQs here. This is when they open. There's this thing called MyMathLab registration. That's a 0-point assignment. You know, that will never be graded, but it does show up in the grade book. You just need to register, and you don't turn anything in. I know that you've done it. Homework 1 starts. That's the homework that you just saw in MyMathLab. And since MyMathLab and LoudCloud don't talk to each other, I think in your gradebook this will always show up as being read. Like, you never actually turn in anything, so it confuses LoudCloud a little bit there. So that's one of the things you just have to get used to in this class. This is telling you when everything's starting. Here are all the due dates. There's one extra thing I want to point out here. I added this to your calendar. I have a weekly call-in session from 5 to 6, and right now it's on Thursdays. A little bit later, I will be teaching a graduate class on Thursday, so then it will move to Tuesday, I think. If we click on this, I want to just sort of take you over there to it. So here's the little pop-up that comes up. We do have there's a Zoom meeting that we go to, and there's also this thing here that says the shared spreadsheet. This is always available for you to go to and look at. So let me just open this because it's a good thing to just look at here. Okay. So here's a old spreadsheet from a previous call-in session. You see people come in, they log in. You can ask questions by writing it ahead of time. Here's someone that asked a question ahead of time. You actually get, if you come during the call-in session, it's 3 participation credits. So that's like 3 posts that are substantive. So it's a good deal, but it does last an hour. You have to be willing to put the time in. There's a link to the previous, here's a link. This call-in session has a screencast, just like the thing I'm making here for you guys. And you can see where I've answered all the questions down here, and I'm using this green and blue coding again. So blue things are formulas and green things are just numeric values, or sometimes I call these parameters. And then here it looks like I didn't color code this, but anyway, you can see this is an example. There's a bunch of these. You can look at old ones here. Then there's a tab that just says old tabs, and you can see there's tons and tons and tons of these things. So if I click this and open it, there's a bunch more. There's hundreds. So if anything you want, you can sort of look through here. You can always click on these links to the screencast, and the screencasts actually have text that goes with them, so you can search through and sort of see where things are talked about. So this is a really useful resource. I mean, pretty much everything in the class is discussed somewhere in these call-in sessions. So you definitely want to get used to taking a look at this thing, okay? Once you get into class, you'll know a little bit more what I'm talking about. For the initial few problems, I give you some templates to try to help you out for the Excel part, right? Because we kind of throw Excel at you, but I think the best thing to do is to just jump in there and start practicing, and you pick it up pretty quickly. Let's see, is there anything else I want to say about this? You know, I don't know what the student view looks like. Your view may look slightly different. There's the planner here. No, that was the planner, sorry. There's the path that has various items. You know, it has the current items that are here. It doesn't show the things that I add to the calendar, so you know, you want to be a little bit careful about that. You know, it does pay to look at the calendar, and it definitely pays. Always remember to come look at these announcements. It's really important. I remember the other thing. Okay, so here, let's actually go into a DQ. I'm going to go into here in a slightly different way, and I'm not sure if you have this option or not, but I'm going to go in here a slightly different way, and I'm going to go back and look at, say, the topic 1 DQ1, which is where you start. And the new LoudCloud is such that we have to put a lot of stuff in here. So you'll see when you open yours up, there's always going to be a thing that says topic 1 DQ1 extra help and instructions. You really want to open that thing up and read it. If you open this up and read it, I'm showing you exactly what to do with this DQ. But very often, and here's again the links to those videos. But I also sometimes add extra instructions that I expect you to follow. So if you don't follow them, I will say go read this and follow those instructions. This first DQ has a template that you can use. And then there's other sort of informational stuff that I put here under this heading, okay? And then below there is a section for extra participation opportunities. And these are not the DQ themselves, but extra things that you can get participation points for. So here's like the class acknowledgement, and you see everyone in this class has acknowledged this thing. There's some wrap-ups, IFLWs, there's lots of various things here that are posted. When you actually answer the DQ, you need to reply directly to the DQ here. And so those replies will be down here. They can find them under the topic 1 DQ1 replies. And I ask you to redo things until you get them right. That's an important aspect here. And you can actually do DQs late whenever you want to. I mean, there's a due date on these things, you know, and they will go in the grade book, but I will let you do them late. They're very important for doing your major assignments. I think private form is where I think you should know how to work your way around the rest of this stuff. This should be somewhat familiar to you. You may have to look at it for a while. And I think this is mainly what I wanted to say in this little video here. Thanks.